And that's for the piggies in every US city thinking a seat in the back row is Porsche because of European history. They miss seeing the monocle though, so I be in the front row on days I am making dough. All alone, in the zone, on the phone, until the trailers go off the screen, along with all those production companies that never did a thing for me.
With fresh-faced direction from Destin Daniel Cretton, the latest chapter in the MCU's Sony-backed Spider-Man saga, Brand New Day, grants some much-needed weight to the overall lighthearted series that never reached a mature turning point until its last entry that had Tom Holland's Peter Parker getting some much-needed coaching from the Parkers of Sony's past. In Creighton's film, there is a thoroughly realized and appreciated aim early on at not insulting the franchise's core audience that views every Wednesday as a holiday. There are noted appearances of Spider-Man's friends and foes, from Detective the Wolf, made famous in the 90s via Spider-Man the Animated Series, here portrayed by Liza Colon-Zayas, to the Sinister Six's Scorpion, Michael Mondo, and mob boss Tombstone, Marvin Jones III. The Punisher and the Hulk pop up and turn this picture into a whole Ultimate Marvel team-up. And if that wasn't enough, Sadie Sink makes her debut as Earth 199999's Jean Grey, becoming the hidden character that pushes this film to higher heights than the expected melodrama between Tom Holland and Zendaya's on-screen, off-screen relationship ever could. Yes, Spidey is still attached as ever to his past relationships, to the point that he digitally stalks his old high school friends through their entire college tenure, turning Peter Parker into some weirdo creep who can't let go of the past. And this depiction of Pete infects and eventually sours this whole Brand New Day. I like Marissa Tomei as much as John Happy Favreau, but having her come back to slickly deliver an allegory to a feminized Spider-Man while fumbling Uncle Ben's words of wisdom yet again, she did the same thing with her dying breath in the previous picture, was unnecessary. Just as well as using that scene to become a catalyst for a mindscape, empathy-laden, sappy resolution nearly shot for shot, as in the recent rendition from O2. In a scene like that, I could only cheer for John Bernthal's Punisher to appear, and boy did he deliver. This is where I find the biggest issue with Brand New Day. There was far too many scenes where I found myself cheering against Spider-Man. I didn't even do that to Supergirl this year, though Crypto is another story. The difference between these two films being that Supergirl is far more mature and accepting of loss, while this Spider-Man spends way too much time trying to relive the past of the last film for this to truly be a so-called Brand New Day. And the way this film ends, it also appears that Spidey yet again doesn't learn his lesson, still trying to maintain old relationships that no longer serve him and ultimately endanger the people that he cares for through his selfishness. On top of this needy depiction of poor Pete, when he gets let down by MJ, yet again in the series, he simps so hard for her that he engages in the equivalent of giving a paramour a ride home after the two obviously show a lack of chemistry. Even with the old Parker luck, Spider-Man is far less clingy with the slew of women he is able to attain relations with in the comics than here in this MCU take. And to make matters worse, Tom Holland's Spidey shows up with flowers to a guy's table at the end of the movie, tying together the early laundry scene where Spidey cross-dresses, not the first time Tom Holland has done that on camera, and the latter scene where he essentially becomes not only Jean Grey, but also Aunt May, two women, in his own damn mind. All the respectable guest appearances from the Marvel toy box is far from a big enough distraction that one of the big subplots in this film has Spider-Man exercising a poor job of becoming a divine androgyne, looking more akin to the Baphomet instead of Lady Shiva. I also found it whack that Florence Pugh only makes cameos in this film to deliver that Disney family PSA that ignores the fact that solitude is not necessarily loneliness. Gotta sell those family passes to the parks. And even though Pugh sounds great with that Russian accent, if only ScarJo tried that on for size, it's just a shame it's wasted on this passive shaming tactic against audience members who are not interested in contributing to humanity with the procreative activity of replication. This isn't as blatant as Fantastic Four First Steps, but it's still just as insulting. Despite these subconscious jabs meant to go over audience heads, this is a Spider-Man movie, and some much-needed scientific know-how is on full display here, with Mark Ruffalo's Hulk chiming in during some of Brand New Day's best scenes, followed by action sequences that look like something straight out of Marvel vs. Capcom, or some of the classic covers to back issues I used to read in libraries in my childhood, where I wondered who would win between Spidey or the Hulk, given that they both have superhuman strength. Still, Pete's intelligence is significantly lower here than in any other incarnation I have seen. MJ outsmarts him. Hulk outsmarts him. Even Jean Grey and the anti-mutant terrorist group she's working against outsmarts this so-called boy genius. Throughout the film, I wondered if Blue Marvel or Reed Richards would make an appearance to steer Pete in the right direction. But alas, all writers McKenna and Summers give audiences is a good little back and forth between Ruffalo and Holland on the steps of ESU and Zendaya taking pot shots at Highland while lamping in Punisher's crib. The Hand being thrown in there was an odd choice, since I didn't see Electro or Daredevil around in the cast. Nerfing them into just regular thugs and taking away all of their supernatural aura was a bad move too. Still, they provided a catalyst for one of the better action sequences where Pete cribs notes from Goku and Ryu, becoming based by operating off of instinct and to grow by letting go. It's a realization that doesn't stay with Holland's Spider-Man long, given the ending, which ends this subplot of the mystery of Spidey's DNA evolving lazily. Instead of going the man-spider route or bringing in the others, Moreland is the big bad. That's what was to be expected for audiences. And instead, Disney families got treated to a good old-fashioned Marvel 2-in-1, minus the Fantastic Four. Brand New Day would have been a far better film had none of the previous cast returned, and if the picture would have been focused on Spidey coping with adulthood instead of as a loose bridge for upcoming MCU films. I want to see a new actor portray Spidey, but I would have settled to see Holland's Spider-Man grow up. But in Brand New Day, Holland's Peter Parker is as childish as ever, still struggling to accept himself and the reality around him. Brand New Day? Okay. But all I saw was still the same old Queen's kid, emphasis on the kid, in need of guests and mentorship like when he swung in on a web line way back in Civil War, except this time it's to carry his own movie. For the teasing of the evolution of Spider-Man here, Brand New Day lets its audience down, arresting Peter Parker's development and undoing the strides that he made towards maturity and accepting the nature of finality in the series' predecessor, No Way Home. I'm not holding my breath for Tom Holland to put the man in Spider-Man, but it would be a far less embarrassing experience watching his films if he actually did.
Pop your popcorn. That's for the piggies in every US city thinking a seat in the back row is Porsche because of European history. They miss seeing the monocle though, so I be in the front row on days I am making dough. All alone, in the zone, on the phone, until the trailers go off the screen, along with all those production companies that never did a thing for me.